we're in Bakersfield, California, for the arraignment of Tobias Roman. The 27-year-old was charged with multiple crimes, including attempted robbery, threatening with attempt to terrorize, and exhibiting a deadly weapon for allegedly stalking a female employee at a shopping mall.
Roman, stand up.
My foot hurts. I can't stand up right now. I'm on right here.
And now his initial hearing is off to a rocky start.
Stand
up, Roman.
What?
Once on his feet, the judge then asks a standard procedural question.
Mr. Roman, what is your true and correct name?
Tobias, my first name. That's it. Giggles or Tobias. That's it. Don't call me nothing else.
Sampson Roman.
Giggles may be his street name, but there's nothing funny about the crimes he's accused of committing.
This time I will appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Roman. The charges, Mr. Roman, are attempted robbery.
It's all right,
Hey, Mr. Roman, you need to be quiet.
Yeah, you need to be quiet.
After being interrupted and then told to be quiet, Judge Charles Bremer gives the defendant a final warning.
You get one more chance, and then you're going to be removed from the courtroom. That'll be your choice.
For a second, it appears Giggles might quiet down, but his silence is short-lived.
Go here.
You need to leave.
But as he's being led out of the courtroom, Roman gets in the last word.
See? I'll murder you when I see you. See? I'll murder you when I see you.
The judge heard that comment loud and clear.
I'd like to note for the record, Mr. Roman's statement on the record that he will murder me if he sees me, and I'm going to request law enforcement to take the appropriate action.
Tobias Roman later pled no contest to the charge of threatening a public official and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. Of his original charges, all were dismissed except for threatening with intent to terrorize. He pled no contest and was sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Austin Boon.
Next, we're in Louisville, Kentucky, where 20-year-old Austin Boon is appearing on charges of speeding and possession of drug paraphernalia. Boon's been prepped by his attorney. But when Judge Stephanie Pierce Burke hits him with a tough question,
How do you plead to the speeding 22 over and a possession of drug paraphernalia on January 23rd?
he crumbles under the pressure.
For guidance, you told me you said guilty or not guilty.
Well, if you plead guilty, then I can give you the plea agreement that you made.
Yeah, that, whatever the agreement was.
Okay, the agreement was to plead guilty and get a $44 fine plus traffic school plus a $100 fine on the drug paraphernalia. You would pay that today and then go to traffic school so that you would not get the 6 points on your license. Is that what you understood? Okay.
Despite his initial confusion, it looks like Boon will be on his way after accepting the conditions of his plea agreement. But as the judge finalizes the details,
So you pay $178 today.
a bailiff notices a problem with Boon's courtroom attire.
Pull your pants up.
178 owed.
Just how does it go?
Not liking his response, the bailiff brings Boon's sagging pants to Judge Burke's attention.
Why is it that you need to pull his pants up?
Yeah. Your pants need to be up when you're in a courtroom.
They are,
They're not.
Sir, up.
they're up. What?
He's got a belt on, Judge, and they hang around his...
They're up. I don't
Okay,
understand what the
that's
problem
inappropriate.
is.
They need to be around your waist,
I'm
not
just here to
below
make
your
a
bottom.
flag.
Pull your pants up. You've been disrespectful.
Not below your bottom.
I mean, that's my back. Why don't I see my basketball shorts? It's not even my boxers.
While some people in the courtroom find the sagging pants crackdown amusing, Judge Burke does not.
Do you understand that you're in a court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you do what the judge says, and that is pull your pants up around your
What do you
waist.
want me to do, girl?
Pull your
Oh, wait.
pants up. If you have to tighten your belt, you're gonna be an adult when you come to court. Do you understand?
Yes, but right now I'm trying to leave court.
You're gonna stay a lot longer than you'd like if you don't pull your pants up.
Ma'am, they are up. What do you want from me? They're up.
Have a seat.
Have a seat at your box.
Have have a seat. Because I said so.
Austin Boon might be laughing now, but when he's called back in front of Judge Burke 15 minutes later, she reminds him who wears the pants in the courtroom.
I instructed you to pull your pants up on a number of occasions and gave you the opportunity to do that. Instead, you wanted to argue about it and act a fool. When I put you in that box, that was to give you a few moments so that I could discuss that with you privately at the end of this docket.
But rather than using his time in the jury box to pull up his big boy pants, Boon took them off instead. He now appears just wearing the athletic shorts that were underneath.
By removing your pants, it was extremely poor judgment. Okay, I'm holding you in contempt. I'm going to sentence you to 7 days to serve for direct contempt of court.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Why?
Because you don't know how to act
They
like a
couldn't be
grown-up.
high enough for you, so I took them off.
As bailiffs take Boon into custody, he voices a major concern.
But what about my pants, though?
Did you get them?
There's a Gucci down on there. I don't care what you got on there. I don't
You'll get your property.
Austin Boon ultimately served 2 days in jail for the contempt of court charge. As for his original charges of speeding and possession of drug paraphernalia, the judge honored his plea agreement, ordering him to attend traffic school and pay $178 in fines.
But what about my pants, though?
Next, we're in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, for the arraignment of Isaiah Gardenhire. The 40-year-old was arrested after reportedly going on a 2-day crime spree that forced a community into lockdown. Gardenhire reportedly sexually assaulted his girlfriend in her home, then killed her 13-year-old daughter before fleeing to a nearby apartment complex. There, he allegedly took a man and woman hostage, sexually assaulted the female, robbed them, and then stole their car. Gardenhire would eventually turn himself into police. But now, as Judge Sarah Spencer Noggle reads the long list of charges against him,
Count 1, homicide, open murder, statutory short form. Count 2, criminal sexual conduct, first degree, weapon use.
he appears to nod off.
DNA to be taken upon arrest. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under statute if the assault is place of confinement. Count 6 is unlawful imprisonment.
Moments later, another audible yawn distracts from the hearing.
DNA to be taken upon arrest. The court may impose a consecutive sentence under statute, and it is also a Tier 3 offense.
But the judge stays on track and asks prosecuting attorney David Barbary to weigh in on Gardenhire's bond conditions.
Looking at Mr. Gardenhire's criminal history is pretty significant. His criminal history consists of violent offenses, weapons offenses, failures to appear in court.
The prosecutor also mentions that Gardenhire was actually out on bond for a separate criminal sexual misconduct case in another county when he went on the alleged 2-day crime spree.
In this case, due to the fact that Mr. Gardenhire is both charged with murder and the fact that he was on bond at the time that the allegations occurred.
Charge her with murder because she's the one who did it.
With the prosecutor mid-sentence, Gardenhire interrupts, claiming that his girlfriend should be charged with the murder of her daughter, not him.
Charge her with murder because she's the one who did it.
Isaiah.
Everything else, no.
All right, Mr. Gardenhire, this is your warning. The court will mute your microphone if you speak out of turn again.
Your Honor, we would request that Mr. Gardenhire be held without bond, or in the alternative, that bond be set at $2 million cash surety.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barbary, Mr. Gardenhire, I'm going to ask that you behave in a, all right. I'm going to ask you to behave in a manner that is appropriate for a court proceeding, particularly given the fact that right now I'm considering whether or not to allow your release on bond. If I have any more acting out, sir, we're going to turn off your audio and your video. Go ahead and mute his audio and video. Thank you.
After further discussing his bond conditions, Gardenhire is brought back into the conversation, seemingly even less interested than before.
All right, the court has considered the factors found in MCR 6.106 and finds that bond in the amount of $3 million, cash or surety, is appropriate.
This time, the defendant flips the judge the bird, first with one hand, then follows it up with a hearing-ending two-hander.
All right, go ahead and turn his video off, please.
The hearing was ultimately cut short due to Gardenhire's behavior. Isaiah Gardenhire is being held on $3 million bond for 12 criminal charges, including home invasion, first-degree criminal sexual misconduct, and murder. We take you inside the Jackson County Courthouse and the sentencing of 31-year-old Kamiya Gamut. She was convicted of first-degree murder in the brutal killing of her boyfriend, Marcel Hill. According to the evidence presented at trial, Gamut used a frying pan, a floor lamp, and a large knife, which she used to stab Hill 12 times. Gamut claimed self-defense, saying she believed Hill was an intruder. When the verdict came back guilty, Gamut sticks to her story. Though local news only caught a handful of moments, courtroom cameras captured every minute.
Is there anything that you want to tell the court before I impose sentence? Is there anything you want to tell the victim's family who are here today?
I just want to say that I stick by the truth, which is that I did react in self-defense. I did love Marcel, and basically at trial, the way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies, and I do plan to appeal it, and that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Judge John McBain did not agree.
I have to say.
Okay. Got it? Anything you want to tell the court about the 12 stab wounds that you did in self-defense?
The alleged 12 stab wounds?
Well, I don't think the pathologist lied about those.
No, I don't have anything further to say.
Before Gamut's sentencing, the victim's aunt, Diana Banks Joyner, addressed both Gamut and the court.
You did leave a big hole in our hearts and a void that will never be filled. You took the life of our sister's only child. You took a bloodline out of our family. And we hope that each and every day that you remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
The defendant appeared to be unmoved by anything Miss Banks had to say.
So we, the family of Marcel, would like to thank God for the special gift that you will receive today from the judge.
Is that it?
When I finish, I'll let you know.
Oh, okay. Serious?
You talk again, I'll have my court officer put a piece of duct tape in your mouth. You understand it? Try it one more time and see what happens to your mouth. You got something else to say?
Even with the threat of duct tape, Gamut continues.
I'm done.
Miss Sonia, get the duct tape.
I'll sit here and listen to the lies.
You know what? She's got a right to talk to the court after you murdered a relative of hers. And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
Well, he attacked me.
All right, we'll wait here for a moment till we can get her quiet.
While the judge waits for duct tape to arrive, he allows Banks to continue.
Remember Marcel and the love you had for him as we ask God to teach us to learn to forgive you because there is no love. Amen.
And then the prosecutor rips into Gamut.
You know, quite frankly, I have no idea how she just did that with the composure that she did. I thank God also that jury made the only right decision. And that is that today we have no choice but to send her where she will also die.
But before it was all over, it was Judge McBain who had the last word.
This is one of the worst cold-blooded murders I've seen in a long time. You end up ultimately hit him in the head so hard with a pan that you actually cave in the front of his skull, and then you stabbed him no less than 12 times. You gutted him like a fish in that apartment, too. You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
Judge McBain sentenced Gamut to life in prison without the chance of parole.
problem is, you don't want to play by anybody's rules. You want to play by your own rules.
Next, we go to Berea, Ohio for a probation hearing. The defendant's 18-year-old William Demopoulos. He's on probation for criminal damaging, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and obstructing official business. Things have not started off well, as Judge Chris Green is annoyed with Demopoulos for refusing to hand over his cell phone to a probation officer.
Give me that phone. What's in that phone you don't want us to find?
Nothing. I just didn't see no need for you guys to confiscate my phone and go through it. I mean.
And you play by your rules. You don't want to play by anybody else's rules.
When the judge hands the phone to a clerk, the defendant starts to retreat.
Come here. Hey. Come here.
No, man. No, man, this is not right, man. I'm telling you, it's not right. This system is so messed up.
Stand there. If you're going to act up, give me an officer. Give me an officer
Please,
from next door.
please, please, please.
No.
It doesn't have to be like this.
I'm right now thinking about charging you with resistance.
Please, it doesn't have to be like this, John.
Stand there and stand like a man.
I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Then you're going to go to jail today.
Sounds like this teen is willing to give up his freedom for a phone.
What did we talk about with regard to following the rules?
To follow them.
And they told you to give him the phone?
I don't know why.
The judge breaks it down for Demopoulos.
When you are on probation, your probation officer has a right to take anything they want to take of yours. If they want to search your phone, they search your phone. The problem is, you don't want to play by anybody's rules. You want to play by your own rules.
It's not like that, Your Honor.
Getting nowhere, the defendant changes his story.
It's not my cell phone.
Whose cell phone is it?
It's my brother's.
Then why didn't you tell them that? I need him handcuffed, please.
Even with deputies closing in, Demopoulos doesn't seem interested in cooperating. As quickly as Demopoulos hops over the table, the deputies tackle him to the floor.
You're gonna get paid. Stop resisting.
What you want me to do, man? Don't think I'm so up, man, for real. Please, God, man.
That's the defendant's grandfather looking on.
Why didn't that to happen, man? But why, though, man? Why does it have to be like this, man? Really?
It's like this because you make it like this.
It's way too fuck, man. Sorry.
My problem is I can't have someone on probation if they won't listen to their probation officer.
He has a problem. I know he has a problem.
Man, he's kind of like a little captive,
Yeah, he jumped.
He's very athletic.
Yeah.
The judge revokes the defendant's probation, and he's charged with resisting arrest. He's sent to jail for 40 days. Joining us now is the judge you saw there from the back, Judge Christopher Green. Judge Green, thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. So take us back to that day. What were you expecting as the proceedings started?
Well, you know, as a judge, I think the one thing you could never have an actual day where you expect things to go just simply. You do sometimes have those days. I didn't expect the guy to jump on the table, though, and try to take off out of the courtroom.
Now, did you know him? Did you know anything about him before this started?
I did not know him personally, and if I'm not mistaken, this might have been either the first or second time he was in front of me while he was on probation.
Have you ever had anyone try and run out of your courtroom before?
Yeah, an escape case is not an unusual case, even in a municipal court like mine, where we're handling with mostly misdemeanor things. So yeah, we've had people that have fled the court before. Some are good at it and escape, and some are bad at it and don't escape.
Now, at one point, you instruct the court officers to handcuff him.
I need him handcuffed, please.
What were you thinking at that moment?
I'm thinking at any time when I'm going to hold somebody in contempt or put a jail sentence on them, there is always that opportunity for them to go out of, the impulse sometimes for them is to fly out of control, to try to get away from what they're about to face.
Come here. Thank you.
Don't get to work here. Wait. No, man. No, man, this is not right, man. I'm telling you, it's not right.
So routinely, I think most judges would instruct them to handcuff the individual to help impede them from being able to get out of our control.
Judge Christopher Green, thanks so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Dan, thank you for having me on. It's been my pleasure.